Welcome to Elderly Pathways, your cozy corner on the internet where wisdom meets well-being. If you're over 55 and wondering whether there's more to life than keeping up with the latest trends, gadgets, or routines that never seem to slow down, then you're exactly where you need to be. Let me ask you a simple question. What if the best part of life isn't about rushing to do more, but learning how to do less with more meaning? In today's world, everything feels like it's moving at lightning speed. We're constantly nudged or shoved into a rhythm of more, faster, now. Advertisements whisper or shout, buy this, go there, be like them. It's a whirlwind of endless scrolling, instant deliveries, and fleeting dopamine hits. But in all that noise, have we perhaps lost something? What if slowing down is actually the upgrade we've been waiting for? This brings us to a beautiful concept, the slow life. No, it's not about giving up or falling behind. It's about choosing differently. It's about waking up and realizing that joy doesn't come from the next purchase or a jam-packed calendar. It comes from reclaiming your time, your space, and your peace. For those of us who've lived through decades of change, from rotary phones to smartphones, from handwritten letters to emails at the speed of light, maybe it's time to ask, what do I really need to be happy? The slow life invites us to savor the present, to notice the sunlight filtering through the curtains, to have a conversation without checking the clock, to reconnect with the parts of ourselves that consumer culture told us to ignore. Stick around, because in this video and on this channel, we're exploring what it truly means to live more intentionally, spend less, and feel more fulfilled. Whether you're 55 or 75, it's never too late to choose a different pace. Welcome to the path less hurried. Welcome to Elderly Pathways. As we age, something fascinating begins to shift within us. The things we once thought we couldn't live without, those material possessions we were taught to chase after, start to lose their appeal. Think about it. At one point, society convinced us that happiness was about owning more. The bigger house, the latest gadgets, the luxury car, these were the markers of success, right? But now, as time goes on, we start to realize something profound. None of these things bring us true happiness. We've been conditioned to believe that the more we own, the better our lives will be. But the truth is, material things can't fill the spaces inside us that truly matter. Sure, the latest tech gadget or the trendiest item might bring a momentary rush of joy, but that feeling fades away just as quickly as it came. So what happens when the thrill of the new car or the expensive vacation wears off? We're left with the same empty feeling and often even more clutter. As we grow older, we begin to understand that the real treasures in life aren't things we can buy. Happiness isn't tied to what we own. It's about the experiences we have, the relationships we build, and the peace we find in slowing down. It's about the quiet moments of reflection, the laughter shared with loved ones, the joy of doing something meaningful with our time. These are the things that nourish our souls. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not about completely rejecting everything material. It's about recognizing that the best things in life don't have a price tag. The real joy comes from being present, appreciating what we already have, and letting go of the idea that more is always better. Let me share a personal story with you. Many years ago, I made a bold decision. I downsized my life. I sold my spacious home, packed up the years of accumulated belongings, and moved into a much smaller space, a narrowboat no less. If you know anything about narrowboats, you'll understand just how tiny they are. About 50 feet long and just under 7 feet wide. That's not a lot of room for a lifetime's worth of stuff. At first, the idea of letting go of so many things felt overwhelming. I had spent decades building a collection of stuff, things I thought were important, or that I simply couldn't live without. Kitchen gadgets I hadn't used in years, piles of old books, clothes I hadn't worn in decades. And yes, I had 5 coffee makers. Why? I honestly couldn't tell you. It was as if I was holding on to things for the sake of holding on, convinced that they were somehow a part of who I was. But as I began the process of decluttering, something amazing happened. I started to feel lighter. It was as if, with each item I let go of, I was shedding not just physical possessions, but emotional baggage as well. The more I got rid of, the more I realized that I didn't need half of what I'd been holding on to. I was no longer bound by the weight of things, both physically and mentally. It felt like a huge burden being lifted, like I had been walking around carrying a heavy backpack for years, and now I was free. Moving into that small space, where everything I owned had to serve a purpose, changed my entire outlook on life. It taught me that I didn't need excess to be happy. In fact, it was the opposite. The less I had, the more space I had. Space for creativity, for experiences, for peace of mind. The clutter I had once believed was necessary for comfort was, in fact, a source of stress. For anyone thinking about downsizing or simplifying their life, I encourage you to give it a try. You don't have to move into a narrowboat, though I'll tell you, it's a pretty fun experience. But start small. Look through your closet, your kitchen, your garage. Ask yourself, what do I really need? What brings you joy? What truly serves you? Let go of the things that are simply taking up space, physical space in your home and mental space in your mind. You'll be amazed at the freedom that comes with letting go. It's not just about decluttering your home, it's about decluttering your life. When you stop filling your space with things you don't need, you create room for what really matters: meaningful experiences, relationships, and moments of true peace. You start to realize that happiness doesn't come from more things. It comes from more space, both in your home and in your heart. That feeling of lightness, of freedom, is something I'll never forget. It wasn't just a physical change. It was a shift in how I viewed my life. I felt more connected to myself, to others, and to the world around me. And in that simplicity, I found a deeper sense of fulfillment that no amount of material possessions could ever provide. Now, before we go further, let me make something clear. I'm not here to bash capitalism. In fact, I believe it has its place. It's a system that, at its best, rewards creativity, hard work, and innovation. When someone bakes a beautiful loaf of bread or builds a quality chair and earns a living from it, that's a beautiful exchange. That's value being recognized. But here's the flip side. Capitalism, left unchecked, can quietly lure us into a trap of endless wanting. It whispers, "You're not enough unless you buy this. You could be happier with just one more thing." And before we know it, we're not working to live. We're living to consume. The system thrives on our desire for more. It's constantly feeding us images of the perfect life: sleek phones, luxurious vacations, shiny cars, and flawless lifestyles. But here's the twist. Those images aren't real. They're curated illusions meant to keep us chasing, clicking, and spending. But you and I, we've lived long enough to see through the sparkle. We bought the gadgets, followed the trends, and filled our homes. And yet, the richest moments of our lives, they weren't tied to things. They were moments of laughter with loved ones, quiet mornings with coffee, or deep conversations under the stars. So yes, capitalism has its strengths, but we have to be mindful. We must decide what truly adds value to our lives and what's just noise. Because in the end, life isn't about owning the latest, it's about living the deepest. So what happens when you finally step back from the noise? When you stop chasing, stop comparing, and begin to live on your own terms? You start to notice something different. Choosing to live simply in today's world is not the norm. It's not flashy, it's not trending on social media, and it definitely won't win you any influencer deals. But you know what it will bring you? Freedom, clarity, peace. Let's be honest, consumer culture is everywhere. It's on your phone, in your inbox, plastered on billboards, and cleverly woven into every must-have product list. From limited time offers to algorithm-driven, "you might like this" suggestions, we are constantly being told that what we have isn't enough, and neither are we. So when you choose to live simply, it can feel like you're swimming upstream. Friends might not understand. Family might raise an eyebrow. You might even second guess yourself. Am I being too extreme? Will people think I'm out of touch? But here's the thing. Simplicity isn't about lack. It's about intentionality. It's not about rejecting comfort or beauty. It's about removing the excess so you can focus on what truly matters. When you cut back on possessions, you make space for presence. When you stop buying endlessly, you gain time to connect deeply. When you stop needing more, you begin to feel enough. Think about the moments that really fill your heart. Are they packed inside a shopping bag? Or do they come during a walk through the woods? In a heartfelt chat with an old friend? In a quiet evening, watching the sunset from your porch? Living simply allows those moments to take center stage. It frees you from the mental clutter that comes from constantly wanting and gives you permission to breathe. And no, it's not always easy. You'll still face temptation. Sales will still pop up. You'll still have days where you feel like you're missing out. But the more you lean into this way of life, the more you'll realize you're not missing out on anything important. In fact, you're gaining what many people are still chasing: peace of mind, deeper connection, and real contentment. Living simply is a quiet rebellion in a world that screams more. It's a personal revolution that invites you to slow down, look around, and say, "This is enough. I am enough." And here's the beautiful irony. The moment you stop trying to keep up, you finally begin to catch up with yourself, your values, and the life you were meant to live all along. So yes, it might feel a little strange at first, but stay the course. Trust the process. Because simplicity is not a step back, it's a step inward. And in that space, you'll find something more precious than anything money can buy: a life fully lived. And once you begin living more simply, something unexpected begins to happen. You start noticing the little things, not just seeing them, really feeling them. It's funny how we spend decades chasing big happiness: the dream vacation, the perfect retirement plan, the house with the view. But then one day we sit down with a warm cup of tea on a cool morning, hear the soft chirp of birds outside the window, and realize this tiny moment, it's enough. This is the quiet joy that comes with age, not because we've settled, but because we've awakened. The older we get, the more we understand that joy doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It's in the morning sunlight streaming through the curtains. It's in the comfort of your favorite chair, the one that fits you just right. It's in the slow, steady rhythm of a walk in the park, the smell of fresh flowers in bloom, or the soft purring of a cat at your feet. And most beautifully, it's in people, in the laughter of your grandchildren, the quiet companionship of a longtime partner, the warmth of an old friend's phone call just to check in. These are not dramatic moments. They're not worthy of a headline, but they are everything. When we're younger, we often overlook these moments because we're moving too fast. But as we age, we have the privilege, the wisdom, to slow down enough to savor them. Simple pleasures don't cost a thing, and yet they are the most valuable. They don't require a credit card, a plane ticket, or a perfectly planned calendar. They only ask that you be present, fully there. No distractions, no expectations. Just you and the moment. This doesn't mean we can't enjoy nice things or special occasions, but it means we stop relying on them to feel whole. Because now we understand that joy is not always something we seek. Sometimes it's something we notice. So next time you sip your tea, hear the leaves rustle outside, or feel the warm hug of a cozy sweater, pause for just a second. Let it sink in. That's life speaking to you, not in grand gestures, but in gentle golden details. And here's a little secret. When you make room for these moments, when you choose to notice them, your life becomes infinitely richer. This is the art of appreciating simple pleasures. It's not about shrinking your world, it's about deepening your experience of it. And in this deep, intentional presence, you'll find a kind of joy that's quiet, steady, and enduring, like a soft flame that never burns out. Because in the end, the simple things aren't just nice, they're what make life truly worth living. As we slow down and begin to appreciate life's simple pleasures, another shift quietly unfolds, one that goes even deeper. We begin to live with purpose, not the kind of purpose sold in books or shouted from motivational stages. I'm talking about the quiet, steady kind, the kind that doesn't need applause or affirmation, the kind that comes from within. Living simply isn't just about having fewer things, it's about living more intentionally. Every choice becomes a reflection of what really matters to you. From the food you eat to the way you spend your mornings, even the people you keep close. You begin to align your actions with your values, and in doing so, life becomes less chaotic, more meaningful, and incredibly peaceful. There's a certain freedom in knowing that you no longer need to impress anyone. You're not chasing trends. You're not scrambling to keep up. You've stopped running and started being. That sense of being, that's where purpose lives. And one beautiful thing that often emerges from this slower, simpler life is financial freedom. Not because you've won the lottery, but because your needs become more honest and fewer. You spend less because you want less. And what you do spend, it's intentional. It brings joy. It reflects your values. Suddenly, your money isn't controlling you. You're directing it toward experiences, health, family, peace. This shift in mindset brings with it a powerful realization. You already have enough, and once you no longer need more to feel fulfilled, you unlock one of life's greatest gifts, the freedom to live for what really matters. Maybe that's reconnecting with nature, through long walks, quiet mornings in the garden, or simply watching the clouds roll by. Maybe it's spending time with grandchildren, passing on wisdom not through lectures, but through stories and presence. Maybe it's starting that creative hobby you never had time for before. Whatever it is, it comes from a place of purpose, and it builds something deeper than possessions ever could, a legacy. You see, when we live with intention, we leave behind more than just a will or a photo album. We leave behind a way of being, a model for our children and grandchildren that says, simplicity is strength, mindfulness is power, and peace is something you create. And even if you don't think anyone's watching, they are. They're watching how you choose to live your days. They're watching how you respond to chaos with calm, how you greet each morning with gratitude, not greed. That's the kind of legacy that ripples across generations. And if you're listening to this thinking, but I didn't live this way before, it's okay, because here's the most liberating truth of all. It's never too late to begin living with purpose. Whether you're 55 or 85, you can choose right now to shift your pace, to trade urgency for calm, consumption for clarity, clutter for peace. You don't need to move to the mountains or give everything away. Just take one step at a time. A little less of what doesn't matter, a little more of what does. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can, and do it all with intention. Because in the end, a well-lived life isn't measured by how much you own, but by how deeply you lived. If this message spoke to your heart, even just a little, please consider giving this video a like, sharing it with someone who might need it, and subscribing to Elderly Pathways for more stories, reflections, and reminders of what truly matters. Your journey matters. Your peace matters. And here, you are never alone. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may your days be slow, simple, and full of meaning.